You're listening to the Zero to Somewhere podcast with Nick Palmisano and Albert So.
It's the second episode of the Zero to Somewhere podcast.
Which means it's our second week of existence.
With Nick Palmisano and Albert So.
Very good Chinese.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
No,
I improved. I improved from last week.
Still don't know your name in Italian.
Yeah,
I was about to say Spanish. Did you hear that?
I don't care. No.
Did you hear that? I said
he thinks all brown people are the same.
That's ruthless. I'm darker than you.
What's that? Not when I tan.
You don't.
Let's
tan.
have a tan off.
You don't tan though.
Let's have a tan off and see who can get darker.
You don't even enter the sun.
If I enter the sun, I immediately get dark.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
And today we're going to have our first guest ever.
But before we get there and introduce our esteemed guest, let's talk a little bit where we
should
came
at least
from.
tell him he's in the background.
Okay. Lance Liggett of Thigh Huggers is joining us today. But before we get to Lance, let's talk a little bit about where we came, what we did or accomplished this past week. So when we were last on, we talked about we were about to potentially close a beer brand. That has happened. 5x5 Brewing. Mm-hmm. They brew down in Texas. It's going to be an exciting account. I think they want to be, I don't know. What's the best way to describe it? They want to be
a genuine, like manly, fun, like devil may care brand.
There you go.
But like genuine, like old school brewing.
Brewing.
No hard seltzers.
Frills.
No
hazy IPAs.
It's got a sprig of grapefruit in it
for
an extra
with a peach infusion and rosemary accents.
Yeah, so
in beer.
So old school, genuinely good beers. 5x5 Brewing. Excited to work with them.
There we go. We also landed our first facilities management company, so that's going to be a new endeavor for us. So we didn't know this business even existed.
Is there anything more exciting than marketing facilities management? If there is, I don't know what it is.
Listen, when he was describing his business, I was like, what am I doing wrong with my life? What am I doing wrong with my life? This guy, I won't say his numbers, but I'm going to say this. He's doing good.
He's doing well.
He's doing good. There's a lot of money in snow plowing other people's buildings. I can tell you that much right now.
So he's a West Point classmate of mine. And basically my West Point classmates exist to make me feel bad about myself.
Question your decisions.
Yeah, a guy that we should have on at some point. This guy John, right? John reaches out to me to say, "Hey man, I'm really proud of you for what you're doing with Diesel Jack Media." And I'm like, "John, didn't your company that you're the CEO of just launch a satellite?" Yeah, but you know, like that's boring stuff compared to what you're doing. I'm like, I don't think you understand what I'm doing.
He's launching satellites while he's launching satellites in his spare time. He's looking over like, man, my man Nick is making some funny videos. Real funny videos.
Yeah. I really laughed at that video. And also I've solved the world's weather pattern problem.
There you go. So when we last talked, we talked about how our magic number is 28. Our goal is to get to 28 accounts. That brings our account total to, we were at 24, so we're at 26. Or did we already include them?
No, we didn't include them.
Yeah, so we're at 26.
We're at 25.5.
That's true. 25.5 accounts. So that's where we are today. We mentioned before, at 28 accounts, things start getting a little better for us. We're at this, what? What are you doing googly eyes on me?
I've been waiting for a year and a half for things to get better for us. It just excited me when
Hollywood's giving us shit. So every company in the services industry specifically, I think, they always struggle with this, which is as you're building your business, you just don't quite have enough revenue to hire enough people to fulfill all the services you need.
But if you don't hire good people, then you're not taking care of your customers.
So then you have to invest in more people.
So you have to make a decision. So we made the decision to just hire a shitload of people and make the best product possible. But, you know, that there also is the challenge of like, you know, money running out the door.
Yeah.
But it's working out great. We're 2.5 accounts away from not having to chase business every month. And that's super exciting.
Yeah, that'll be a game changer for us because then we can focus all of our energy in our existing book and not worry so much about getting new ones.
On beer.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No.
The other thing that happened this past week, you know, we had a little conversation with our team. And I think this is something that a lot of business owners, I don't know, they hide from it, which was, we had a talk, and I love Nick, for you to explain a little more, but we weren't hard on people, but we did ask everyone to elevate their standard of work. Nick likes to use military analogies when he can. And he asked our team to be more like Rangers.
Yeah. Well, I don't use them that much, actually. I don't, that's not the thing that I'm known for. Like, I don't talk about like military stories.
You literally talk about nothing else.
It's not true. You're throwing me under the bus right now.
Okay.
But no, we're in a unique situation that I haven't been in a long time, in that, with Ranger Up, we had almost all veteran employees.
Yeah. And
then the transition with Diesel Jack, that's not the case anymore. We have a lot of civilians that work here. And, I know how cringe this sounds, and it was even cringe when I thought of it, but like I did it anyway, and I think it was the right move. Is I actually quoted the Ranger Creed, and I talked about how each stanza of the Ranger Creed applied to just being excellent at work, and what we had to do in order to succeed. And I still remember, when I started working at 4th Ranger Training Battalion, and went to the DFAC and everything, and I was like, this is amazing compared to any DFAC I'd ever seen. And the S3 was like, if it's worth doing well, it should be done well. That's the way that we do things here. And it was like, that just hit me hard. Like, so everything that you do should be done excellently, or don't bother to do it.
And that is something that I think everyone struggles with that runs a business. The reality is pretty much no one else, like none of your employees will care as much as you do. I mean, and I think that's, you mentioned before, it hurt you in the beginning because you're like, why don't these people care as much as me? And that's always a challenge. I think our team's very, very good, but they're in it. Like we mentioned before, most of the staffers at our company have been in the creative space, but they never served anyone but the business that they worked at. So they served Ranger Up. Yeah. They didn't serve guys like Lance. They didn't serve other customers. And I think they haven't really thought about the fact that the people that choose you can choose somebody else too. Like they don't have to choose you. And I think some of it's not a bad thing. We wanted to nip it before it became a problem. Yeah. It's like they were starting to be like, hey, this is a job. It's not a job. It's like if we are our customer's lifeblood, we will always be in business because we'll work together with them. But if you treat this as a job and they can feel it, then that's when the customer can be like, hey, maybe I don't need these guys. Yeah,
and I don't think we have that problem at all.
No, I agree.
But it is a thing that you think about. But like definitely early on with Ranger Up, like when I was like almost going bankrupt, and I mean like really almost going bankrupt. I had $57,000 of credit card debt and $1,300 in the bank, and was a single dad with 2 kids. I mean, I was pretty close. It was not pleasant. But like, I'm working all night, until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And, and then I'd come in and like the couple people that I was paying, like it was just a job for them. And like, it didn't matter what I said or did or, whatever, it was just a job. And like, I couldn't understand it, but then you have to take a step back and it's like, they're not all in. No. Even great employees, like when they go home, they want to be home. They're not thinking about your business. They're not thinking about, how do I improve the company? Like they're trying to date somebody or they're, they've got kids or, whatever it is. Like they've got things that they do. And, I had to get a little older and to appreciate that. And then you start thinking about it differently. It becomes, how do I make people excellent when they're here and make sure that they have a good quality of life and, kind of balancing it more. And that's when I became a lot more effective.
Yeah. So we gave the talk to our team. We'll see what happens. But, we were basically saying, and this is a core belief that we have, is just like, if you notice a behavior change starting to happen where complacency maybe is setting in, it's better to make it known right then and there. Because habits are hard to break. Once people become pikers, I use that term straight out of Boiler Room when we talk about like, hey, people like come in, they want to clock in at 9, check out at 5.
Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
I love that movie, by the way.
It's a great movie.
I love that movie.
I feel bad now that I faked an appendicitis attack and went to the ER so I could miss that meeting.
If you're hearing that, that's our director of photography. As always, our lead director, Hollywood Hurd.
Producer of this podcast.
Listen.
All around great American.
He's a great dude. But he did fake appendicitis, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
He said he was in the ER. Oh, really, Hollywood?
Yeah,
really?
He's like,
then how did you just show up the next day at work? No problems. Come on, man.
He's like, Nick's going to give some kind of speech. I'm definitely going to check myself into the ER for 16 hours. I'd rather do that than listen to this bullshit.
But what's funny is, though, we talked about before, not everyone's going to believe, but you don't necessarily need everyone to believe. You just need a handful of people. And it's short run, but I already felt like people started to do something about it.
Yeah.
We kind of went on a little bit of a tantrum about how much video equipment was everywhere. What are you doing?
I don't know. But yeah, just so you know, on this podcast, we're in downtown Durham, and every once in a while, an ambulance is going to go by. Someone's going to get murdered. You're just going to hear that in the background. We're not in a sound room yet.
Yeah.
So if you hear a murder or two, it's like you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. But you did call out the team and said, "Hey guys, you guys leave our equipment out. That's indicative of what you think and how you care." And then before you knew it, the equipment got picked up right away.
Tied it to the Ranger Creed.
There you go.
It's covered. It's all covered in the Ranger Creed. You just follow that shit. You're good to go.
I'm not a Ranger.
But you've seen the Nick Nolte movie.
But you have watched Black Hawk Down. You haven't watched anything. Albert's never seen any movies.
I've seen Black Hawk Down.
All right.
I remember nothing of it.
Okay.
How about the convict movie? Convict Air?
Con Air?
Con Air.
I've seen Con Air.
Con Air. Yeah, that's.
Nicholas Cage was a former Ranger.
I did. I mean, all I know is he had the best accent in all of Hollywood.
All right. So with that, we had a big week here. We added a couple of clients, which was great.
Yep.
We talked to the team about how we need to improve as we scale. We're seeing results, and now
we want to bring on our first guest.
First guest ever. Our
first guest is someone we met when
in the history of this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big deal. I feel like you're not building it up enough.
This man.
There was a time
when this man
was
making just $10,000 a
long
month.
shorts. And then he came amongst us.
So without further ado, Lance Liggett, CEO and founder of Thigh Huggers. Lance, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here and is excited to see your beautiful faces as always. So I'm excited to be the first zero on the show going somewhere. So
you are somewhere. You're not at zero anymore.
I am right here in the Thigh Huggers headquarters. So I guess that's true.
There you go. Tell us a little bit about that journey before you got to the $10,000. How did you come up with the business? What were you doing before? Let our audience know a little bit about you. So before Thigh Huggers, and then let's walk into actually starting that business.
Yeah, so kind of hitting on the entrepreneurial lifestyle. I kind of consider myself a serial entrepreneur, such as Nick and yourself. I've always kind of been in the game of trying to figure out how to live a more fulfilling life and find something that I can put my work ethic in and my hustle in. So prior to Thigh Huggers, I've owned a public safety tracking system that we created from ground up. And we had some competitors in that market that led the show. So it really didn't get too far, but I learned a lot from that, and also been in kind of the fitness app game. So we had a fitness app called Cashwad, and people would compete against one another to win money. And, all these little apps that I got involved with, I never really got anywhere. So I kind of got above the zero mark, but I learned so much. And I was working out at the CrossFit gym. And when I was in the military, we always wore Ranger panties. I served in the Air National Guard as a TAC-P. And going into the gym, I would always wear my Ranger panties, and everybody else had the hideous long shorts on.
So Lance, you're sitting there, you're working out at CrossFit gyms, you're working out in Ranger panties, you're blowing the competition away. Now, some facts about you. You are, true or false, you have completed an Ironman.
Yes, that's true. Full Ironman.
Are you sponsored by First Form?
I am a Legionnaire, not sponsored athlete, but I do work with First Form, yes.
Okay, so you're a very good athlete. Also very handsome for those of you guys watching the video. If you haven't, if you're listening to just the podcast, do yourself a favor. Check us out on YouTube. You can actually see how good looking Lance is. If you want to see how shredded up he is, go to Instagram at @thigh_huggers. He'll be there showing off his beauty. All right. So Lance, you're sitting there at the CrossFit gyms, scoring high. You've made apps. They've come off the ground. They haven't gotten anywhere significant. What were you thinking at this point? Because you have this entrepreneurial spirit. People are looking at you crush them in workouts. What are you thinking now?
Well, I was like, growing up, I've always been kind of a wild and unique person. I enjoy seeing people laugh. I enjoy, helping push other people. So kind of quick backtrack. When I was at the age of 13, I started a business called Lance Liggett's Looney Balloons. So I was a professional animal balloonist. I made animal balloons.
Wait a second. Time out. Are you still good at this?
Dude, I can still make animal balloons. Not as good as the pros now, but I was making, at 13 years old, I was making $300 an hour at professional shows making animal balloons.
Wow.
Which helped me pay for my college.
A TikTok? This should be a TikTok.
What's your best animal?
At the time, let's see, I could do your basic poodles and giraffes and dogs, and I could do a snail and a caterpillar and a sword, and all back then the cool animals.
I kind of feel like this should be like a weekly thing where like Balloon Wednesday or something.
This would be
Lance gets challenged with a different,
or like those cooking shows, or those cooking shows where they teach you how to make something.
Yeah.
And Lance like, today we're gonna learn how to make a penis sword.
Yep.
And you make it, and you hold it next to your thigh huggers just like that. Like, you're welcome.
I'll do it on Thigh Huggers Thursday on TikTok.
There you go. There you go.
No, okay. Yeah, always just kind of were in the funny realm of businesses, and working out in the black Ranger panties at the time. I was like, you know what? I want something more unique. I want something that's a little bit more durable. Funny story with the Ranger panties. I was on a vacation over in, I think it was not Cancun. It was in, where was I? The Dominican, and I come out of the pool, and I had bought a whole bunch of colored Ranger panties, and I was wearing this bright yellow neon Ranger panties, and I come out of the pool and I stand up and it's completely see-through. I look down and I'm like, snaps, nothing underneath, just completely see-through. And so at the CrossFit gym, I was like, I want some materials that are a little bit more durable, that you can work out, you can do a little bit more tougher things, and that aren't going to be see-through with funny designs. And I had no idea about clothing at all. Another military guy who's going to do a clothing brand, and so I reached out to some people, and from there kind of took off. And I sold t-shirts in the beginning. That's all I did for about 3 or 4 months. I sold t-shirts that said Thigh Huggers, and that helped fund the actual business.
So for those of you that don't know, a Ranger panty is the most glorious pair of shorts that you're ever going to see. They have like a 2-inch inseam. They are a silky smooth material. When you first start wearing them, you're a little uncomfortable, but after a week or two, everything else seems like lesser than. So that's what a Ranger panty is, just a glorious pair of short shorts. And essentially Lance makes tons of Ranger panties in different styles, colors, designs. So just for those of you that have no idea what we're talking about now.
No pockets and a built-in liner.
There's no pockets, but that's right, built-in liner.
So let's go to that exact moment. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to make my own. I'm a funny guy. I like doing funny things. I'm doing balloon animals previously.
Doing snow, yeah.
What was your thought process? So were you already thinking, hey, I want to turn this into a business? Or were you thinking, hey, I'm just going to make a couple for myself?
Well, so at the time, I didn't know anything about clothing. So I reached out to another company called Wad Bottoms at the time, and they're still out there. They do a great job for female fitness clothing. And, I talked with them to see if they wanted to partner, and they didn't want to do anything with it. They wanted to be focused on the women line. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to continue and try to do this myself and learn a little bit about it. So I reached out to a couple other friends that were in the clothing industry to get some advice of how do I start, what do I do? And, I think the previous businesses that I kind of took that L on helped me, have the knowledge to get things rolling to, you know, get things started, even though I didn't really know clothing that much. So it kind of all tied into the start from that 0 point to, you know, getting this, you know, the LLC set up and all that. You know, I knew how to do that from previous experiences. And, you know, then as I started to dive into the clothing, that's where I really started to kind of understand it and, you know, tie in not only my personality into the business, my branding, but then, you know, that's kind of how Thigh Huggers came to be.
So what was your first short design?
The first short design was the toy soldiers. It was the white pair with the green toy soldiers, and it actually had the mesh lining in it like a swim trunk. When the first sample ever, I was like, "This is not going to work." So, you know, with lots of samples, lots of updates, and you know, taking a few trips over to my manufacturer to actually see how it's done, and, you know, dive in head
Wait
first.
a second, you went there?
Yep. So when I initially started, I was manufacturing in Colombia. So I flew to Colombia, met with the family. It was a nice family that did things. And, you know, I actually learned how they did everything. I wanted to see how the whole process was started and actually dive in. Cause, you know, if you're going to run a business, you've got to be all in, and, you know, you've got to have the knowledge of how things are done. So
you're going in, you start the business, you are meeting with your manufacturer down in Colombia, but you're also doing something else on the side, right? You had a way to supplement some income while you were starting Thigh Huggers.
Yeah. I've been a full-time firefighter for 14 years, full-time for about 7 years. Also a fire investigator and a sonar and dive rescue member. So I've been doing that. I actually only have 5 more shifts left before I retire from the fire service.
Wow.
I like to say going from bunker pants to short shorts. So
a full-time thigh man.
I remember one of our first calls with Lance when he said, "Hey, sorry guys, I'm going to be late." And go, "Why?" He's like, "I got to go, you know, get this body out of the water." I'm like, "What do you mean you got to get this body out?" I was like, someone found a car. There's probably a body in it. Like, he said it so nonchalant, like, you know,
I gotta go
see if someone's dead in there.
Yeah, we talked about that for like 15 minutes in the office. We're like, you know, like, I'm not afraid of dead bodies, but I feel like, you know, diving in a murky lake and then finding a dead body would really suck. Like, even when you know it's coming, like, you're eventually going to find a dead body, and then like this bloated, like, you know, blah, you know,
hey,
just kind of.
That's why we need heroes like Lance. Someone's got to go do it.
Someone has to do that. But Lance doesn't have to anymore in 5 shifts.
Shifts. But like, that was, you were doing that. You were actually, you know, at night getting bodies.
Yeah,
by day, slanging shorts.
Surprisingly, there's a lot more people who actually go out fishing at random times, or, you know, just go out and have a freak accident, and you're like, wow, this is so. The team was used quite a bit in Southern Illinois, but yeah, by day and night, I would be doing that, and then in between, slinging shorts. So
I really like when you reached out to us and we started working with you. It was really easy for me to know exactly where you were at, because like right now you're sitting there, you know, if you guys are listening, Lance is sitting in a room right now, and behind him is just a wall of shorts and bins
from the floor to the ceiling, from the floor to the ceiling, from the wall to the wall. Like, there's no space.
There's no place to move. And this is exactly where Ranger Up was before we got our first warehouse. I mean, like, you know, we had this apartment, you know, it was like a 3-bedroom apartment, and you couldn't walk. Like, you had to hug your stomach to the wall in like the corridor that linked the bedrooms, because we had shelves with shirts just lining the wall. Definitely illegal. We were definitely breaking some rules.
Yeah.
And like, it just reminds me so much. So you and I have had a lot of conversations about things that like I've experienced. So it's cool to watch you kind of accelerate, you know, your path from, I think that when we met you, and are you cool with us talking numbers or
exactly. Yeah.
We can pull the numbers out post as well.
So I think when we started working together, you were at like, I want to say that your actual online revenue, like you had a bunch of deals,
under 20,
but his online was like 10 to 15.
Yep.
But then he had like some big deals.
Yep. Some customers.
Yeah. I think I had a couple like 20,000 to close to 30,000. I think 30,000 might've been my biggest month right before working with you guys.
Yeah. But it was like, there was a lot of wholesale in that.
Yes.
There's
a lot of partnerships and growing the brand.
Yeah. So I think right off the bat, I think we pulled out, I think it was like an average of like 12K of online.
Yeah. before we get into like the inflection point, I'd love to, for you to share with the audience, like, what did you do to get to even $12,000 a month?
Because that's no joke.
Because Nick and I observed this from the very beginning. Is like we said, this guy's a natural marketer, so he knows how to move product. If it's not this product, it'll be another product. Mm-hmm. But tell the audience about some of the things you did to get your product seen for the first time, because that's the hardest thing, getting someone to give it a try.
Yeah, definitely. So in the beginning, I kind of was somewhat against like actual paying for marketing. And, I kind of had a sour taste in my mouth because I, as someone who didn't know much about the actual ins and outs of media marketing like you guys do, I would get on Facebook and I would spend, $25, $30, $40 on an ad, and I would see all spam accounts. And I'm like, how can Facebook, how can Instagram charge people and only give them fake accounts? They know, they have all the AI systems to tell if it's a real account or not. And you put in the keywords like military, firefighter, people who like to show skin, whatever it may be. And it was all like Farmer Brown wearing coveralls in the summertime. You're like, dude has no idea what a short is. So I had a sour taste in my mouth, and I'm like, man, this is horrible. And, I really didn't see any results from that. But what I did is I got really active in the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok community. And I was just honestly being myself. I try to live my life as a good-hearted person. Of course, you can't please everybody, and if you try to please everybody, it's just going to be a big downfall. But, I just tried to be a good person and be nice to people. And, I've got a big support network of friends, and the military community is always great as well. But I really dove into Facebook and I got involved in groups, and every post that I put out there, I wanted to get somebody to laugh. I wanted to have somebody, if I could brighten their day a little bit, then, it may not have converted to a sale, but if I could, brighten somebody's day, they're going to remember my name, and it all ties into it. You are your business. If you don't like what you're doing, if you don't like your business, if you don't like your day job, you're probably not going to be successful in it, and you're going to get burnt out. And like you guys were saying, you may get complacent.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because here's the thing that I hear a lot. People come to us and they're thinking about starting a business. Maybe they have wealth already and they want us to launch something. And I hear people say things like, I just want some passive income. I just want to start an apparel brand so I can have some passive income. And I always tell people there is no such thing as passive income. You're not going to just make money because you own a brand. Like, even if we were to put weeks of work into making the coolest apparel ever, which we could do, if you're not out there
constantly
slinging it,
you got to constantly remind people why this shit is awesome.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit, because people really do have this belief that you can just start a brand
and dreams
and like
build it and they will come.
Yeah, it's going to be successful. Like, your idea has never been made. Like, come on.
I'm going to draw a picture so amazing. I'm going to put it on the shirt. Boom, $1 billion.
Dude,
What's
it's
up?
still my favorite thing in the world is like some military brand will start up like this year and reach out like, hey guys, you stole our design idea. And like, I'm like, hey bro, I made this design in 2007.
The best story ever. There's this dude on one of the Drinking Bros page or whatever, and never knew this guy, never heard of him before, and he has this conspiracy theory of how I hired people to hack into his computer and I stole his entire idea and hard drive of all his designs, the name. I'm like, dude, I'm like, how are you just trolling me? Or are you and he was legit for real. I was like, well, lawyer up if you want to, buddy, but I have no idea who you are. I've never why would I still I actually have designers that create these designs, and we work with you guys. You do a lot of design for me. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, I'm not even that smart to go and figure out how to get into your computer. But people come out of the woodworks once you start doing something. But
yeah. Oh yeah. Like, well, that's why you stole my idea, bro. I just put pineapples on a pair of shorts.
Listen. There's all these adages in business, right? Ideas are everywhere. Execution is everything. Yep. Like, no one owns a monopoly on shorts. I mean, 100,000 short companies can start tomorrow, and you'd still have to be in the grind. Yeah. And that's what I think you and I observed about Lance from the very beginning. Is this guy on his own? Like you said, you weren't a big believer in paid marketing, but you were still trying to make videos. You were still trying to slang shorts. Like, You were constantly in every, I don't even know, like the mullet that changed my life group. I remember asking you on the phone call, I was like, hey, listen, the only problem with working with small companies like yours, it's not that it can't succeed. It very much can. It's like we do not want to be responsible for such a big piece of your revenue to the point where it cripples your ability to operate, because everyone, better than anyone, I'd love for you to talk about it. Cash is blood when you're first starting. Like, you don't have enough cash, you are fucked. So, and it doesn't matter if your marketing spend is bringing you back money, because that's another thing people always forget about business is cash flow, which is when Lance sells $1, well, he already paid 50 cents or more or whatever that dollar was. And then that dollar might not actually come in a couple of days. Then he's got people like Diesel Jack being like, hey, you owe me money. Everyone's like, hey, you owe me money. And it's a constant delicate balance. And so that was one of the things that I remember talking about, but I'd love for you to share, like, how did you manage it all? Because you're not making quite that much because you have cost of goods sold. You have your full-time job that's you're living off of. So you have to make a lot of decisions. Talk about what went into your decision process. So, like, what do you invest in?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll hack on Nick's question real quick about what does it take or what is it? You know what? No one has the overall solution for whatever business it may be. But, I like to say this shit is not that difficult. Honestly, if I take a step back, I enjoy it. I'm just like Nick said, he was up until 2, 3, 4. I'm doing that every single day. And I know you guys harp on me every single time we talk about getting people. And I'm like, I can manage another, another $1 million a month by myself. No, but no. So like you have to believe in yourself, and you have to want it. It's not that difficult. You can figure this shit out. It's all over the internet. You can learn from people, and, also surround yourself with good mentors. Like Nick has always been a good mentor for me. And, now Albert is as well. You guys have always kind of helped guide me over obstacles that I would have ran into if I didn't have you guys in my corner. But, just get out there and try. All my previous businesses were all trying, and they were all lessons that I was learning. And, as you're doing that, get involved, whether it's in your community, get involved with kids, get involved with schools, build yourself. All these things that you can do in your life are going to help you become a better person, which will tie into becoming a better entrepreneur. It's going to help you grow, better and bigger. And I still don't know anything, I'm still learning as I go. I'm still on that, 0.1 mark, getting past that 0. And as the days go on, I learn more and more tools. Like in the military, you add new tricks, new tools into your toolbox that one day you may run into something, you open it up and you're like, all right, I'm not going to use this screwdriver. I'm going to go to this, so long story short is just, get in there, hustle, grind, work hard. And, as Nick said, when you own it yourself, your employees that you have may not feel that, but you feel it because it's your baby. It's you that make it either succeed or fail. But
I'm going to quantify what Lance does for our audience so that they have a more, they get a picture of how much he loves this business.
Yeah, because he's talking about it in generality.
Oh, yeah, generality. You got to love it. Like, let's
talk about Lance's day.
The dude packs every order by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's selling thousands of SKUs a month. He literally is packing every single order by hand. He leaves handwritten notes and drawings when possible if he knows who you are. He has personally drawn people like, he's not a great artist, but a little poo emoji goes a long way.
He's not terrible, though.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the unicorn that I just drew? That was good. That was good. You got to admit, that was pretty damn good.
So that was good work.
So you're talking about a guy, and he's living the brand. He's going to pull bodies out of the water all night, and then he comes in and he's packing orders by hand by himself. All night,
and he's working out in his garage
because he's got to maintain his shreds.
He's got to keep those thighs.
Then he packs 100+ orders, packs and fulfills and ships 100+ orders. He goes to the gym, deadlifting 405 or whatever he deadlifts to show off his gains, make sure his thighs stay shredded.
You might have just insulted him. I think he deadlifts more than 400. I think he's a 500 guy.
Are you?
I hit 470.
Yeah,
I was talking about his reps. His reps. 405 on the reps.
Yeah, that's a good pull.
That's not a max.
That's a good pull.
Yeah, it's not a max. That's Lance's reps.
I'm just, look, if it was me, I saw him flinch a little when you said 405.
He's like, whoa.
He's like, maybe in high school,
So, I mean, I want people to understand Lance's grind, because when he says you have to like invest a lot of time, like, dude, you're investing a tremendous amount of time, and
he's traveling. And he's traveling.
And he cares so much about the product and the experience. He actually is reluctant to hire even an hourly worker to help him fulfill these orders, which is, I'm mind boggled by that, but like, that's how much he loves this grind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the military mentality. Nick knows all about that. You're going to get it done.
Yeah. But like your story, it's so similar to how I started. And, we don't have to get into your specific numbers, but like, bro, you're now running a $1 million+ business. You're running a 7-figure business selling short shorts. I mean, here's the moment, the happiest moment I had for you was when you moved, and Lance is a friendly guy. Well, no, he bought his
the property,
the house. Yeah.
So he bought his new property in Florida, and he went down there right after buying the property, and he walked around the neighborhood doing something I would never do. And he went around and introduced himself to all of his neighbors, which I still don't know my neighbors, and I've lived at my house for like a decade.
Dude, never would consider that.
So Lance knocks at the first door, his next door neighbor, door opens up. Fucking guy is wearing thigh huggers and knows who Lance is. And Lance texts me and I was so excited for him because I would have geeked out so hard. Whenever I saw somebody in Ranger Up shirts in the early days, it was like the happiest day of my life. Like someone I don't know is wearing it, and like,
look, Mom, I made it.
And so, what's it feel like? I mean, because you're not a cocky dude, so it's not like you're like, I'm the shit or anything. But what does it feel like to go from like hobby business on the side to full-time? You're opening up a place, on the Strip in Florida, selling thigh huggers.
Clearwater Beach, to be specific. So if when he gets the store open, we need people to go find him. Clearwater Beach.
I'm actually I'm looking at Treasure Island, which is connected.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm right. I'm going to be moving to Seminole, Florida, right between Clearwater, St. Petersburg, and Tampa. So hopefully soon.
I believe they call it St. Pete down there.
St. Pete, yep, St. Pete. And then somebody called Seminole Seaman Ho. So I'm moving to Seaman Ho, Florida. So, but it is an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling to see the hard work that you put in, actually start, paying out, not in the financial way. That's also a reason for everybody to go into the business, is to try to become, financially successful. And, anybody who says otherwise, to get I don't know, to fill some void in life. No, anybody who opens a business wants to make money. That's the overall goal. But it is nice, to see people wearing the brand, and, now sold in every single state, and, working towards almost every single country that I've sold in. And, it's a great feeling to see the amount of time and effort that you're putting into something actually turning into somewhere. So,
yeah. So I got to ask, I mean, we've seen you go from, 10,000 in online sales, like we mentioned, to where you are today. I think we were we aren't an employee, but like we were your first big capital investment. This is a question that, what made you say, like, pull the trigger, like, hey, I want to bring on another company?
Nick,
what was that decision?
It's 100% Nick.
Yeah.
Before Diesel Jack, I was a fan of Ranger Up, and of course, always like, as Nick talks about me being a good person, Nick's a good person too. I think Nick is a very well organized business person.
Don't compliment it. Don't compliment it.
You hear that, Albert?
I've always watched Nick on his podcasts and always on his business stuff. I was very big into listening to other people who have experienced things that I wanted to experience or go into, and I always kind of follow Nick. And not only is Nick someone who will respond back to you on Facebook and Instagram, he'll help you out. And once I saw that he was doing Diesel Jack, I was like, hey, I need to start making some calculated moves and taking some calculated risk to see if I could grow this to the next level. Because I started to feel like, hey, I'm becoming a business owner like this. I had thigh huggers up and running. I was slinging some shorts, but I was like, is this going to be a hobby, or is this actually going to be a full-time career that I can hired people. And, you know, Nick was definitely someone who always answered questions. And, you know, like I say, you know, both of you guys are kind of mentors to me. So it was an easy deal. And, you know, Nick already understands the military community, Ranger Panties military. It's an easy process. And I was like, you know, Nick has grown Ranger up to, you know, such a large business that he knows the ins and outs of the brand, because it's still a very similar, different product, but similar market. So
what were you thinking that first day when you stroked that check and you were like, okay, here's my biggest investment I've made to date of like risk? Because it's a heavy risk, right? Yeah. Were you like, oh, 100% this is going to return me some money? Or were you even like, there had to be some trepidation where you'd be like, what if he fails me? Like, what if this doesn't work?
I don't count the work that I do. And you guys know in the beginning, I wasn't paying myself because I was like, no. And you guys I'm like, you guys told me like, you should pay yourself. I was like, all right, I guess I'll pay myself. So no, the money, I don't consider it even my money. So I'm just like, hey, if I, you know, whatever, if you lose it, you lose it. It is what it is. So, you know, let's jump head first and go. I wasn't really, you know, nervous. And, you know, there's a couple other businesses that I've kind of guided over to Diesel Jack because you guys have done such an amazing job. And I always recommend you guys. But, you know, they always ask me the questions that I was experiencing in the beginning, like, hey, when does this start to kick over? I'm like, it's all trial and error. You know, you got to let them work through the numbers, let them try things. And once things get rolling, it's going to kick up. And, you know, it's like you said not too long ago, Albert, it's like gambling. Let's turn this on. Let's turn this off. Let's play this. So, you know, I was never really nervous. It's just, I was like, oh, it's not my money. I really don't
care. A very nonchalant way of saying it.
I know what you mean though, because like, you know, I think about some of the checks that I've stroked over the years for different things. And it like some of these, you know, like we pay like astronomical amounts on a monthly basis to like American Express, you know, like,
yeah.
Like,
well, most of that's equipment though. Like,
no,
we don't have that many outside services. This was an outside service for the first time for him.
No, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying like when it's a business, like you really do compartmentalize it and you're like, you know, oh, I'm not super worried about it. You know, like here's 30 grand, here's 20 grand, you know, and it's just like, you don't think about it like real money, but then like when it's my personal money, it's like,
it's different.
Do I really need a second burrito? Or, you know, it's an extra $3. I don't know if I need that burrito.
It's 100% true. You know, and now like we're at the point with Thigh Huggers, you know, I'm spending upwards of $60,000 a month on inventory, and you know, that's the biggest crazy headache is inventory. And like Nick said, you'll never really get it down. You just kind of learn as you grow. Like my house is full. To quote the famous Little John, to the windows, to the walls are full of Thigh Huggers.
Dude, I still remember like our first conversation about holiday inventory, and you were like, "How much do you think I'm going to sell?" And I sent you the numbers, and you were like, "Bro, this is a lot. I don't think this feels like way too much."
No,
it was like,
exactly. And you were like suggesting, like, well, you can get a line of credit. And I remember Lance like, wow, you want me to borrow money to buy this shit? I'm like, I got to pay that back.
I straight up told Nick, I was like, because, you know, Nick was giving me recommendations. I was like, can you just tell me what I need to buy? Like, I don't want to I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Just tell me to buy this and I'm cool with it. And then I spent all that like writing numbers and sending it to Nick. He's like, I don't think that's right. I was like, tell me what I need to get. I don't know.
But then I think you looked at what I recommended. I think you cut it down to about half because it was a lot.
It
was
a lot.
It was a huge number.
Cost. Yeah.
And then I think you were sold out a week into the Christmas season.
This fourth quarter.
We had to dial. Yeah, we had to dial down the ads because they were like, Lance is like,
hey, I don't have anything left. we were pushing direct. We were pushing direct to garment T-shirts because that's all he could sell.
Yeah.
Well, we have that one ad that is always running that says back in stock, and like at the time I had nothing in stock, and people were getting so mad. Like this one dude was like, You're supposed to be a big business. You should do better. I'm like, dude, it's myself in my house.
I'm one fireman surrounded by walls of shorts.
And if you're getting mad over a pair of shorts, you probably shouldn't wear them because you've got other things to work on.
So you've had I think that you are one of the most successful small businesses that I've seen.
He's a solopreneur.
Yeah, you really are a solopreneur. You and a couple teenage neighbors that occasionally help you out. What's been the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome? Like if there was one thing that like, you know, kept you up at night, what was it?
Inventory, getting get that 100% inventory, just, getting used to, and as you grow, things may slow down a little bit, but then, as you grow, the people you're working with are growing as well. So things can get smoother and it becomes easier of a process. And you learn more. The inventory is still a guessing game. And for anybody listening, doing anything that you have to hold inventory, it is always going to be a guessing game, but then you're going to have other numbers. I'm not a big numbers dude. I can't do spreadsheets. Like I could probably, barely speak English well. And it is all about just, looking at all these avenues and kind of coming to, a guesstimation of what you need to do and then, grow.
Listen, Lance, for anyone out there that's beating themselves up over the inability to forecast production, you shouldn't feel bad. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations hire analysts from Harvard. And they got tons of them, all to forecast manufacturing. I mean, we were just joking about it. Sam Adams came out recently and said like they missed their sales by almost 30% because they over forecasted the demand for seltzer.
Yeah, who wants
Sam Adams? They got 30% of just seltzer.
Literally, no one wants
unsold.
Sam Adams seltzer.
They fucked up.
No, but
but smart people came up to that number. It wasn't like this is the that's Lance's point. It's like it doesn't matter how smart you are. You cannot predict the future. You cannot predict what else someone else can. Like if I have $1 today, I might buy Thigh Huggers, but next week, a year from now, a month from now, what am I going to spend my $1 on? If I choose anything other than Thigh Huggers is going to, Lance is going to be hurting.
Well,
choose Thigh Huggers.
I will tell you that every single major crisis in Ranger Up history was directly tied to inventory.
Because it's got substantial cash.
Directly.
So much cash.
So much cash. And the tides can change on styles. And like in the early days, like when we moved out of the apartment and we moved into the warehouse, I did the most basic exercise ever. We said, let's put anything that generates at least $100 a week on the left and anything that doesn't on the right. And I had this tiny little pile on the left and I had giant piles of shit on the right. And that was the first time like we realized we really only had like 12 styles that were making us real money, and everything else was like a nice to have.
It's like the 80-20 rule.
But 80% of my inventory was in bullshit. And so
unsellable junk.
So that was the first one. And then later when, we were no longer, a real startup, and now it's like we had a 25,000 square foot warehouse and things were very efficient. We were rounding up to the nearest 12 because we had a program that I had created that gave you an exact number of what we needed to order. And our COO decided like, hey, I'm gonna round up to the nearest 12 because if you break up 12s, then you're adding extra pieces. Well,
do that across enough SKUs.
So I did an analysis because I was like, fuck, man, like we just have all this inventory. And what ends up happening is you're rounding up on the smalls and you're rounding up on those 3XLs. And that ended up equating to $87,000 of rounded inventory that was just sitting on the shelves that I really would have preferred to have in my hands. And so it starts off at the beginning. It's like really dumb. It's like, I have a bunch of stupid stuff and that's an easy problem to solve. But then like you start making decisions that sound like smart decisions and you realize that they're not, but you can't even hit the guy up for rounding because it makes sense kind of, because you're like, oh, it'll be an extra $50 on this order. Multiply that by thousands of SKUs and it starts getting ridiculous. And so inventory, bottom line, inventory sucks.
We're a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah. We play a different game here because we're a services business. All of our inventory is actually just people and talent, right? So, and equipment. And so we feel like you can, it's just such a different challenge because you don't have to pre-invest nearly as much. Inventory, you have to pre-invest. Like right now with shipping supply problems, you already have probably what you need for the fourth quarter. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I have probably close to $200,000 worth of inventory on hand. And the crazy part is I still haven't really been able to, we'll launch a new product and it will sell out. So our back-end systems will be like, you need to order 300 pairs of this because you sold out in 2 days. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I'm just guessing anyways, but it just makes it easier because it's all like laid out in the names. Like this is easier, but I do the same thing on my shelves. I put what sells the fastest closer, so I don't have to walk an extra 2 feet to grab something around the corner. And add it to the bag.
That's exactly what we started doing. It was like, let's move the stuff that sells closer, and then it became, hey, people that buy this thing usually buy these other things. So then we started, locating things that were similar next to each other. So it wasn't just about like what was the best, lining up the 10 best sellers wasn't as useful as, these 8 items typically sell and these 8 items, and usually they weren't cross multiplying, like.
You would have made a lot more money had you just been one of the early employees at Amazon and helped them figure out warehouse logistics.
Yeah, well. that sounds terrible though. That sounds terrible.
So Lance, one of the things we've already talked about is like you're a natural marketer. You also do something that's pretty unique in order to help sell your product, which is you are your own brand. You're your own brand. So describe your logo and your look, because not everyone's going to be able to see this. Some people are just hearing the podcast because when you first came to us, I was like, this looks like a silhouette of you. Is your logo a silhouette of you? He's like, it is. And then fast forward a year, we got people getting that tattooed on them.
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely wild, but no, it dates back to or jumps back to where I said, you are your brand. And, I wanted to not only build, myself up as the brand by doing funny things and funny videos, but I also wanted something that was very, recognizable whenever I did something. So I was like, hey, I took a picture of my face, and I've got a nice glorious mullet with a nice curly mustache. And, I took a picture of my face and I just erased everything besides the shadows, and that became the first logo of Thigh Huggers, besides our actual Thigh Huggers logo, which is the name of the company. And from there it was very recognizable. And in business too, you're going to have competitors, so you have your Nike shorts, you have all these other brands who have shorts, and they have the swoosh mark, you have whatever. So on the shorts, I wanted to make one little white square, and you could see that in any picture, and you would be like, that's a pair of Thigh Huggers, and I also had the goal of, I wanted to grow Thigh Huggers to the point to where people were tagging other shorts as Thigh Huggers. And when you think of a box of tissue, you say Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand. Even though you may not buy a box of Kleenex, you call it a box of Kleenex because, or
synonymous.
Yeah. So I wanted to have that brand around myself, being the face of the brand. But I also wanted to build it to where people started tagging other shorts. And, I never complain about competitors because, I even ask my customers who they wear all other shorts as well. I'm like, hey, what would you guys recommend that I do better? And they're just like, you're honestly, you are your brand. You comment on all our stuff. Instagram banned me the other day.
That's right. Posting. We were talking about that while I was on vacation.
They let me off. They put me on a 2.5-day ban, but I emailed them so much that I think they gave up. I emailed them every hour. Yep. 7-day ban. I emailed them on the hour every hour.
So I'm driving to the beach and Lance texts me like, what's wrong? I'm like, what's wrong with what? I'm like, oh shit, this is bad. And Lance is like, hey, they won't let me post on Instagram. What happened? And I'm like, so I give him a call and we talk through it. I'm like, Lance, I think you've tripped their spam bot.
Yeah.
I think you've tripped the spam bot that says, this is not a human being.
Yeah.
Because no one uses...
Because no human being is up for 25 hours a day.
Yeah. They're like, how are you posting and commenting on everybody so much? I'm like, well, I always have my phone on me. And I told them, like, I'm not a spam bot because I have a business account with you guys.
They don't know that. No. There's just an algorithm that just like tries to track velocity, and you might have tipped it off and whatever.
That's awesome.
Well, I tripped one dude up. The first dude I emailed on support messaged me back, and he's like, "Yeah, I believe."
Tell him the name. Tell him the name.
Glenn. Hey, Glenn.
Glenn at Facebook.
Glenn. Hey, Glenn. Glenn was real. I sent you a screenshot, and Glenn was like, "Yo, I'm on your website right now. I love the shorts." I was like, "Hey, if you take care of me, I got some free shorts coming your way." He's like, "Let me see what I can do." And he came back and he's like, "Oh man, there's nothing I can do." I was like, "No shorts for you, Glenn. No shorts, Glenn. Damn it." But Glenn was like, "Well, I think because you post so much, it got caught up in the spam box because it looked familiar to spam." And I'm like, "Well, so you're saying that nothing I did was against any community standards?" So I tripped him up in that. And then every time you re-email their support, it's a new person, but they would read up all the threads. So I literally just kept emailing them every hour. I was like, "I'm gonna get you guys until somebody," and then finally like, "All right, let's let him out."
I was like, "Yeah, am I free? Am I free yet? Am I free?
Yeah.
Am I free?"
And then we started the hashtag freelance.
Yeah.
That was trending for a while on Instagram.
Oh, that's great.
Lance, man, it's been awesome having you on the show, dude. For anyone who's listening, go ahead and give your business a plug. If you haven't heard yet, Lance runs a company called Thigh Huggers. Lance, tell our audience where they can find your shorts.
Yeah, you can check out thighhuggers.com, and then on Instagram, go to thigh_huggers. Definitely check it out. We have tons of customers. You can see the fit. We also use a sizing reference model chart. So instead of an actual chart for sizing, we have pictures of actual customers because every thigh is different. You got thick thighs, little thighs, but all thighs matter. So make sure you go there and check out our Instagram page.
And I want to leave Lance with a plug. When I talk to other people that are starting up, I use Lance as the example of what a founder is supposed to be, because there are we see a lot of different founders, right? There are founders that are very engaged, there are founders that are unengaged, there are founders that rely on their team, but like if you want to start a business and you're not willing to do what Lance does, which is think about this shit 24/7, go at it with no feelings, constantly reassess, how do I make this better? Then you are not going to be able to compete with the Lances of this world.
Yeah.
You will fail. And so, if you're looking for a young entrepreneur to follow, to be like, to learn from, follow Lance.
What about Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week? Are you saying don't?
I don't listen to business podcasts.
Are you saying that's the name of the book? It's called 4-Hour Work Week.
I don't read his book either.
Do you think that would work?
No.
No, I don't think so.
No, I think
4-Hour Work Week.
I think that those kinds of guys are very smart at getting people that don't want to work to read about how they can be just as good as people that do work,
and that's the majority
without working.
People.
That's most people.
That's most people.
Yeah. So I know we said we were going to end it, but I'm gonna. There's this group of people that love to hate on success, and it's like somebody is successful and they want to tell. Whether it's, an up-and-comer like Lance, or it's a Matt Best, or it's an Evan Hafer, or it's a Tim Kennedy. They think they are owed something for those people's success. And I have watched all of these people attain the level that they have, and I know what goes into it. And I know the blood, the tears, the bad nights, the how do I make payroll, all of these challenges. And I want to just lash out at these. Like, you don't fucking deserve anything. The reason why you're having an average life is because you're not committed to anything the way these people are. All right, I'm going to get off that aggravate. Yeah. No,
Damn.
Look, if you want to work average, you can be average. But like, if you want to do something amazing, like, you have to sacrifice. And I have no time for people.
What Dave Ramsey said, live like no one else, you can live like no one else. So, that's the name of the game.
There you go.
And you do it every day, man.
Lance Liggett. Hey, listen, we said from the
man, the myth.
He's not a myth. He's real.
The thigh.
He is the thigh. He is definitely the thigh. Listen, from the very beginning, final outro. Remember when we came to us like, hey, are you going to fix your Facebook and Instagram handle? Because whatever _ whatever is not a good branding thing. He's like, nah. He was just like, nah, I don't want to. And I'm like, hey, man. He's not wrong. Yeah. It works. Like, people can certainly. It's easy to find. Easy to find. I said easy to find.
It's easy to find.
It's easy to find you, man.
It's easy to find. Yep.
It's easy to find you, Lance. Thanks for joining us on our show, man.
Thank you guys.
If you were a Goonie man, you'd never say thigh.
Goonies never say thigh. Except he would. That's all. I think that's all he would say.
Tomorrow never
Goonies
thighs.
Never say thigh.
But he would.
He would. All right. Fair enough. All right,
Take
man.
it easy, Lance.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
What? Last thing. Wait. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for the next 10 hours?
Oh, I gotta go pack orders. Hit the gym. Yeah. You guys have taken up my time, and I've got 43 orders from the time this podcast started. 43 orders I gotta pack.
Let's
That's
go.
Awesome,
Get
man.
the packing.
Get after it. Why are you talking to us?
All right, we're out.
Take it easy, Lance.
Is that it? All right, we'll see you
That's
guys. Bye.
That's a great dude. Genuine guy, hard worker.
He might be the hardest working person I currently know. Like that guy is endless energy. Like he's never sleeps. And we mentioned it during the podcast with him, but like it is true. We do have a lot of people reach out to us that you can kind of tell they don't want to sink that kind of time.
Yeah.
They don't want to take that many risks, or like you call them at bats, or right? They don't want to try that many things, whether it's in marketing.
Yep.
They don't want to sink the time. They kind of like the way things are, and it makes you wonder, like, well, why'd you reach out to us? Why are you calling me if you want to do things like you've done them?
Yeah, like I hate the entrepreneur myth that it's easier than working at a corporate gig. You and I have both.
No, it's easy. It's way easier working a corporate gig.
It's so easy. Like it was the easiest time of my life, and if I wasn't a dumbass, I'd still be doing that. It's super hard to be an entrepreneur, and so like if you don't want to do it, if you don't really want to do it, like you're gonna sacrifice time, effort, family time.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I work. We're talking to each other at weird hours of the night. You're not going to be successful. It's just too hard.
I mean, you might be. I won't say never.
But you might get if you got a rich dad. I mean, the rich dad is always a path to success because you can just burn money for like 3 years, and it's like, well, at least he's doing something.
Hollywood knows this. Like I read about. I was reading this article about the successful film studio, and the name Ellison, and I was like, Ellison. Oh, you mean Larry Ellison? You're the daughter of Larry Ellison, the CEO of Oracle.
She did
top 10.
She did it all on talent, man. It was.
Listen,
all
I'm not
talent.
saying she's not good, right?
Yeah.
She's very good. Annapurna Films, I believe, is the name of her production company. But man, it's a lot easier when your dad's worth like $50-60 billion.
Yeah, no, I'm sure she's very good, but there are a lot of very good filmmakers that can't ever make a movie, or require 20 years, 30 years of effort before they get to make a movie.
Well, you kind of hit at it earlier, which is how many at-bats can you get? And the reality is when you have that much backing, you can make so many mistakes to find your way. Whereas if you're an upstart, you make one mistake, you're done.
Yeah, if your first movie isn't a hit and you're a beginner and you're funding it, or you're getting, you're doing a microfilm and it doesn't make money, who's going to give you money again?
Yeah. Well, that's why so many people in Hollywood tend to be like if you follow on IMDb, I always do this. You see this new upstart actor, actress, director, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Let me look into this person. Oh, you find out they're related to somebody.
Yeah.
Because it takes money to take
because
that.
There is literally 1,000 people more talented than Steven Spielberg's kids.
Yeah.
Or Ron Howard's kids.
Sure.
But they're never going to get the opportunity because they don't have that connection that gets them to the front of the line.
Well, I mean, anybody can make an opportunity. Like the perfect example is Range 15. We made an opportunity. Now, was it a big studio film? No.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it and you're willing to put in time and sacrifice, like you can make it happen. But it's fucking hard.
And if it's not a success, then you're done.
And if it's not a success, you're done. Yeah.
Well, I think it hits you personally, right? Because it's like if you sunk so much time, effort, energy, maybe you borrowed money, maybe you leveraged some of your personal assets, maybe leveraged your house, and it doesn't work out. I think that feeling of like, oh man, it took so much to get so little back.
Yep.
You're just not really interested in doing that again.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously if you're backstopped by a shit ton of cash, you shrug your shoulders and go, fuck it.
And the other thing is like you're making art, especially if you are the writer or you're the director, like you really are putting everything into it. And it's no different than somebody painting painting a painting, making a sculpture, like you're invested. And so like somebody walks up and just says, this sucks, which happens no matter how good your movie is.
And you don't get to take another at bat. It's not like, so where I come from in the industries I've been in, if you're in software, you can make a change. You can make adjustments. It's relatively easy to make a change. You make a movie, you're done.
Yeah.
You don't get to change it.
You don't get to change it. It's out there. Like, going back and watching Range 15, knowing what I know now, it's like, man, we could have done this better. We could have done that better. But at the end of the day, we had 13 days to make a Hollywood movie, you know, and you know, like I'm proud of that movie, and you know, the next film that I make will be better. It might not be as popular. It might not be as loved, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's the other piece of it is like, you can make something good that no one watches. And there's so many pieces to it. Yeah. So if you don't have rich parents, starting a business is extremely hard.
Yeah. And if you're not, it's significantly harder if you don't love it so much that you love it to the point where like it's almost like not healthy for you.
It's
like you're always in it. You might be successful if you don't have that attitude, but I don't think your chances are good. You have to.
They're not good. Yeah, and like all these dudes that write articles, like, you know, oh, like life, you know, work-life balance in startups is critical. Like, bro.
Or the other ones are like the people that are like, oh, just get a property and rent it. Yeah. Let me tell you something. My wife's family grew up in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, so a lot of her family friends rent their houses. None of them have good things to say about renting houses.
No, it's terrible. Yeah, people
People
destroy houses.
do not give a fuck about your property.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care.
Like, that's your problem.
Yeah. All right.
Next time, we'll fill you guys in on what we're doing. I won't be on the show next week because I will be in Costa Rica.
He's
surfing.
going on vacation, so we might pull Hollywood.
We will learn
from behind the camera.
There you go.
To sitting in this seat right here.
You can hear all about whatever it is he does for a living. I have no clue.
That's absolutely 100% true. Albert has no clue what I do at Diesel Jack. And if he did have a clue, he wouldn't care.
Listen, I do care. I think Hollywood is the world's best film person, whatever, because every time he takes a take, I'm like, that's good. Let's go. Next one. Next scene. He's like, I want to see that again. I'm like, why? Perfection.
All right, guys.
Next week.
We'll see you next week at the Zero to Somewhere podcast, and thank you for listening.
There you go.